Hi everyone, I'm Melissa. I run Panoni. Panoni is a media and consulting firm and accelerator based out of Hong Kong and China, and I will be the moderator today. So let's have our speakers introduce themselves first.
Sure. My name is Raymond Chan, come from Hong Kong. I'm running a company called Alphaslot. We are bringing the video games into the casino floors, and then people can mining and rewarded by the tokens, and the token can power up their games so they can get better chance of winning when they go to casinos gambling over the times.
Nice. Joe Van der Zanden. I'm with ConsenSys. We're the leading ecosystem developer for Ethereum. I help lead strategic alliances and business development.
And my name is Marcos Cunha. I work for Wanxiang. I'm in charge of Wan Labs, which is our ecosystem where we try to entice great companies to build on our technology. We typically fund them and we give them the resources and things that they need. Wanxiang is known for interoperability, so cross-chain functionality with Ethereum and soon some of the other largest major blockchains, as well as privacy. So allowing you to turn on and turn off privacy as you need.
Yeah, so today we're gonna talk about tokenizing the business models. So as maybe we all observe that right now, like there's a lot of existing business, they wanna adopt the token and integrate the token, but actually a lot of ecosystem or the token adoption are really questionable. So I would like to have these leaders. We will have a more casual conversation, so we can share our perspectives regarding how we see things in the adoption of token. So I would like to start from what do you guys think it really makes sense? Like what type of business model really makes sense to adopt the token or to tokenize? Yeah. Okay, cool. Yeah.
We'll just go in order.
Yeah, go in order.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, okay, all
Yeah,
right.
just go.
Well, of course, I'm saying that a lot of people nowadays, use case is a very challenging topic right now in the blockchain industry, right? A lot of people saying entertainment industry, gaming industry is a very good use of it. I do believe that, and I do agree 100% on that. That's what we are doing right now, right? Because gaming, casino gaming, or casual game, mobile games has the elements already that has the fiat involved into that. And the tokenization just add a layer on top of that. It's like a game on top of a game. So it's a perfect example. And the most important thing is it has the revenue, the real fiat revenue behind to support the industry itself. So it's a perfect fit in my opinions. Joe, would you agree?
Yeah, I mean, so just for context, I talked to some of the largest companies and governments and NGOs about blockchain technology and moving towards, decentrally distributed systems. And I think an important thing to ask yourself as an entrepreneur, if you're going to decide to use a token, is the token being used to actually drive value for whoever you're trying to serve, first and foremost. So it's obviously a great path to take if you want to raise money, but the whole premise of the movement is about disintermediating, intermediaries that are extracting exorbitant rent. So if you're a marketplace or something like that, or you're a platform, are you driving more business value? Is there a compelling reason? And I know at ConsenSys in particular, we look for entrepreneurs who lead with that. So when it comes to tokens, it's really about how are these units being used to try to drive a better business model. That's like the first priority for us.
Yeah, you got it. We see so many different business models, and we are extremely strong believers in tokenization does work. It adds liquidity, it adds transparency, it enables companies to grow, it enables entrepreneurs to not give up equity or board seats, and it really has global reach because it enables a company to be built in, small country in Africa and retain all the value and all the brain power in that small country rather than having to move to Silicon Valley and develop a tech firm here. There are obviously pitfalls, and similar to Joe, we really try to understand why the company needs a blockchain. In fact, I often try to sell people on why they don't need a blockchain. But if there's a great business use case for having a distributed system that's secure, that's global it goes through state borders and country borders, and is open. I think the technology is there, it's readily available, and it's an amazing, amazing change that we can take part in today.
I see. Yeah. So if we like want to go deeper and be more like specific, like what do you see about like reverse ICOs, where that token is not really a must or necessity in the whole ecosystem? Maybe like you can start from Joe. Want to share?
Yeah, I think it's sort of the inverse of the first. It's related to the first question, right? If you're going to do a
Yeah.
reverse ICO for the same reason, I mean, it shouldn't just be for liquidity purposes. For example, if you have a pre-existing business model where you can tokenize assets, maybe they have a high total price tag on them, so you could tokenize like real estate or things like that. There's some compelling value proposition that you're bringing to market where the token is a critical element of the value proposition. It's the same thing. So if you're an existing organization where I spend more of my time with enterprises, as I mentioned, than startups, it's the same questions as an entrepreneur, right? Looking at this technology to build on. So I would say, again, just keep the priority on, thinking through the entire user experience and consistently asking the question, why a blockchain? And then secondly, why are we going to create, because in the issue of tokens, why are we going to create a utility token particular to whatever, sort of decentralized application we're building?
Yeah, and I would like to ride on what Joe said. I really like it. It's like, he said that it's like, how can the blockchain technology or the token can add value to the current business in the reverse ICO? This is very important. I think not a lot of industry really need the tokenizations, to be honest with you, right? I think many people agree on that. It's like they want to do the reverse ICO because they want to do that, right?
Yeah, some are just like no reason, like no strong reason. They just want to be tokenized for.
They just want to be
for being
tokenized. They just want to,
Yeah.
to look cool. Like just
Yeah.
like 20 years ago, every company had a
The
.com behind them.
.io.
And there's a downside to that too. So if you're a major enterprise, ICO or no ICO, if you announce a blockchain project and you pump your market cap and you don't deliver, I was in a room with a CEO who said that, his interest was, can we deliver on this? And again, I keep hammering the same thing, but can we actually deliver value? And don't like pretend that if we announced something about blockchain, our stock doesn't go crazy. Pretend we have, an ICO. We're not doing an ICO. We don't care about any of the financial implications of this. Is it delivering value? Because there is a downside. This is a repeated game. So you have a reputation. So as an entrepreneur, presumably if your project doesn't succeed, you're going to start new projects. So you want to establish a great reputation in the market for doing the right thing. And if you're a publicly traded company, or you're on your way to becoming a public traded company, you're dealing with a reputation game again, which is ironic because the blockchain really is about trust, and reputation is a really important part of that. So,
But at the same time, it's very challenging too. This industry is very young. Technically speaking, we are talking about blockchain, like get into the hype about like less than 24 months ago, something like that. So it's like only limited time for the industry to prove itself. And also the technology, everybody agree that it's not really mature yet. Like there's still a lot of questions around efficiency, transparency, and the speed of the transfer of the tokens, right? So it's tough. I mean, we need to give the time for that to grow, and to prove themselves, right?
I think Marcos might have some thoughts about that.
No,
Yeah.
you have to be extremely careful, especially as a public company, going around announcing. Long Island Iced Tea Company is a perfect example. They're now in huge trouble. Their stock peaked and now it's plummeted. And if you have nothing to do with blockchain, or if you really aren't going to be using it for your primary business model, you have to take great care to what you say and what you don't say. I'm a huge believer though in reverse ICOs if done right. I think it can unlock an unbelievable amount of value. I read the other day that American Airlines market cap is about $18 billion right now, and the estimated value for airline miles is about $28 billion. So 50% more than their actual market cap, right? They've done, and they're the old G's of tokens. They basically created their own private ecosystem economy where you can buy and sell and trade, and the loyalty component is massive. they sell those miles to banks and credit card companies, and it's a huge portion of their revenue. If they were considering doing it today, most likely they would be using the blockchain. They would open it up. They would allow other people to buy and sell. Anytime you add liquidity to a marketplace, you give more participants the ability to come in and buy. You decrease the barriers of entry, and you end up adding value to both the economy and to yourself, to the company.
Yeah, sure. So Marco, how about you like elaborate a little bit more about like when the traditional business they tokenize after tokenization, and what if the price fluctuation impact the business in a good way, bad way, or make it more unstable? Like what's the solution for it, and what's the mitigation or to alleviate the issues about like the price instability to the business?
Yeah, I think there's 3 ways to think about that. Stable coins are all the rage, and they're going to be a major player in 2018. You can have a stable coin. You can peg the value of the services to a fiat currency like US dollar. So you say, let's say you're doing Uber for the blockchain, you could say per mile, it's always going to cost this US dollar value, and as the token price goes up and down, that doesn't matter at all. You'll just pay a fraction of the token or a couple tokens instead. And the last piece really comes down to governance, right? Ideally, you have a decentralized group that can govern the price, and as the token values fluctuate, you can constantly change for services and whatnot.
Cool. I think Raymond, maybe you can elaborate like the benefits of the price fluctuation.
Well, I can't speak for the other industry, right? But
Yeah.
I can only speak for our industry, which is the casino gaming, right? I think for us, the tokenization or the blockchain usage on our industry doesn't really relate it to the price of the token itself a lot, because as just Joe said, how we did our industry going to use the tokenization is to add the value on top of our entertainment values, right? The tokenization itself is like a game inside a game, or a game on top of the games. For example, when you're playing the slot machines in the casinos, or any video game in the casinos, or blackjack games, you're mining the token at the same time, right? So you get all the token in your pocket. It's fun. And how are you going to use the token? You just use it back into the games, enhance the experience in the next hand. Let's, for example, I get a token, and then they give you all the cards that's available in the dealer hand in the next round on the blackjack games. That's fun, right? It's just adding value on the whole supply chain, or I mean on the game itself, on the industry itself. So I don't see the price make a difference. And I do see the price will go up too, because there's more and more people adapted to it, to the tokenization, without even knowing that they are utilizing the blockchain technologies.
Right.
Yeah.
That's the great things.
So I think the summary is that depends on the use case. In some use cases, appreciation in the token is a good thing. If you're addressing volatility, I think it was addressed over here around governance, so monetary policy. If you do decide to build a decentralized application and utilize a utility token to do things, you have the control over the monetary policy as it relates to the decentralized application. So the use case will define it, and then the governance will be accommodating to whatever is optimal for the use case, and again, for the customer, for the end customer user experience.
I see. Marcos, do you agree with both comments?
You see, he keeps smiling at us.
No, I'm fascinated. I hope his company succeeds, and it's interesting. Gaming and casinos is a great fit, I think, for blockchain economy, and enabling people to continue to play games when they're at home and continue to earn tokens, and then to be used for real-life prizes. I mean, it sounds a little bit like, for the Americans here, Chuck E. Cheese, right? The reason we were taught that from an early age, that you go in this place, it's a magical place, you get to play skee ball and all the other games, and then you come back with a bunch of tokens that you can then transfer over to get a nice little stuffed animal or an eraser, in my case. So I think...
Yeah. Without blockchain, it's not possible because in our industry, casino is so centralized, right? While the money you win, you can use it in the other casinos, but the loyalty point that you get from one casino, say MGM, you cannot shoot it into the other casino at Wayne, which is next door. But blockchain technologies actually decentralize the whole thing and making it possible. It's not just linking the casino industry together, but the casino industry supply chain itself, the game developers, the players, and the casino operators together in a decentralized format. Without blockchain, it's not possible in our industry, put it this way. So we are very excited about it.
Yeah. Joe, you look like you want to say something about it?
No, it's the first time we've been on stage
Okay.
and heard blockchain and Chuck E. Cheese within 10 seconds, so that was fun.
Yeah, of course. Yes, so...
Something new every day.
That's how I describe it to
yeah,
my family
so,
members.
Yeah.
Like, remember Chuck E. Cheese? That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think my last question would be focused on the vision. Like, if the whole world is like completely tokenized, what will it be? Like, you can take time to think about it, like in your vision, in the world or in the specific industries. What will it really look like if it's completely tokenized?
You mean the whole world, like you can use the token
Yeah,
to
either you-
7-Eleven to buy
Yeah,
drinks?
either you want to talk about the whole world or specifically for certain industries, it's fine. Just some vision stuff, so like we can brainstorm a bit and share people what our thoughts and perspectives.
Wow, I don't know, I'm not sure about it, but maybe, Joe, you have a comment on that?
What's the question, like the shorter version?
If the whole world is completely
If the whole
tokenized.
world is tokenized.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So the whole world. So F.A. Hayek, by the way, who's an economist, a late economist, talked about privatized money. So you have to ask yourself, why do you need a token? I keep coming back to that. So in every use case where the transaction costs are lower, so the value of shifting towards a privatized version of money drives more efficient economic outcomes. Over time, given a voluntary situation, they'll arise. So economic law will drive them. So more than I suspect, just like all things in nature, it'll probably be like a Pareto distribution. So there'll be lots of tokens. There'll be a set of tokens that are dominant, let's say like US dollars, whatever. And then there'll be a long tail of tokens that are better designed for whatever the use case is. So I think in whatever the total world is, the part of the world that'll be tokens will be a subset of that. And I think that the potential, as you guys have talked about on the stage today, around using tokens to get primarily access for consumers. So you referenced how entrepreneurs can now raise money outside of the Silicon Valley. That's an access statement. If somebody can now own a part of an apartment building in New York City, that's an access statement. So it's creating these new models that allow more democratic, ways to participate in the economy. But I don't think tokens will take over everything. At the very least, as long as we have governments, they're presumably going to want to keep control of the money supply. So the dollar, the fiat currency may shift and have a token version. But as long as we have things like governments and other things, there may not be tokens in the sense that we're defining them here, where they're privately controlled. They're not controlled by the public. But definitely a more efficient world. So better, faster, cheaper.
I think also it's like depending on when you talk about like token, is this a single token to dominating the whole world or all the industry? I think it's impossible because every single token, the nature of each token by itself is very different. Bitcoin is already different from Ether, right? And then there's Litecoin and all kind of different things. Like some are faster and some are slower, but like more secure and things like that. So maybe, but by different tokens, for different industry, and even within the same industry for different use case.
Yeah, I recommend everybody take a look, as I alluded to earlier, to Pareto distributions. You'll see them over and over and over again inside of our industry or in nature. There is no maximalism. It's not part of the model. So.
Yeah, one of my favorite parts about my job is hearing all the amazing ideas entrepreneurs come to us with. About what they want to tokenize next. And since we do focus quite a bit on fintech projects, we hear real estate every day, we hear artwork, we hear land and any sort of asset class that you can think of, any commodity that you can think of as well. People want to somehow tokenize it. And I compared a little bit to what happened with digital photography. As pictures went from, you'd have to wait a week and go print them out to being completely digital, that just skyrocketed the amount of pictures and the ability to share and the ability to do cool things with photos. I think the same is true in the token economy, where as artwork, let's say, gets tokenized, now you can unlock value in a masterpiece that you own by allowing other people to put it for display in their museums or put it in their fancy homes for a week or two without having to sell that property. So it's a fascinating thing. The IRS, I'm not your accountant, so don't take this for my word, but the IRS allows you to take quite a big illiquidity discount of 20-25% on asset classes like private businesses, real estate that you own, by tokenizing or doing a full proper ICO. You unlock an extreme amount of value and liquidity, and you allow people to trade in and out of asset classes quite easily.
Cool. Okay.
I think it's also depending on when you tokenize an industry or your use case, like what's the financial reason behind to. The bigger the financial reason, the more faster the adaptation it will be. For example, in the casino gaming, we are talking about an industry that is like $200 billion a year. And there's 8,000 casinos around the world, 3 million slot machines, and thousands of gaming tables. That by itself, it's a good reason to tokenize it already. That's why I see in the gaming industry, it has a faster pace of adaptation to that. Of course, our industry also have a lot of questions surrounding the tokenizations too. Regulator is going to ask you a lot of questions about that, right? So that will take time. But I see, like technically speaking, it is a good case, but practically it will take some time, but it will help. Regulations always help any kind of industry, especially in blockchain, to grow.
Oh, yeah.
Because regulations make things transparent.
We completely agree. I mean, we hold entrepreneurs' feet to the fire, making sure that they're doing everything possible to be able to comply, and we don't talk to entrepreneurs that are at all trying to avoid the current framework of regulations, but I can't wait for that framework to be extremely clear, extremely fair, ideally, to this industry, because there's so much money and so much innovation coming out of it that it would be a real shame and a major missed opportunity for any country that does stifle that type of innovation.
Cool. So I guess there might be some people on the floor that are like really looking into like tokenizing their business model. So they're just like share one tip for those audiences from all of you, like a tip for you or
my
one
tip
advice.
is send myself or Joe an email and get started with one of the best platforms to build on.
Cool. What about Joe and Raymond?
Go ahead.
Good.
Well,
Echo with Marcos, right?
I think you need to, for any kind of reverse ICO that you are going to do, you need to really think through that. Is it really a good reason to do the tokenizations, right? Are you finding really a good use case? I mean, I know I'm just saying like a very common answer to that, but it's true. Not all the industry or not all the use case really need the tokenizations. Right?
Yeah.
But let's look careful into that.
If I was an entrepreneur at this stage, I mean, I know the benefits of an ICO. There's no impact to the cap table, but I may personally approach it where I would look for an investor for an equity finance investment, and then I would look to the ICO as a marketing vehicle. So if I need some financing to get a minimum viable product put together, validate product market fit, get some initial customers onto whatever I'm building, I would probably use that because, in my opinion, at least today, traditional venture capitalists still provide a lot of value. But the ICO can obviously be a great vehicle for marketing. It can scale and bring in additional liquidity after the fact. And by doing it in that order, I think, from my perspective, if I was an investor, it proves to me that the entrepreneurs are serious about delivering on a solution, and they're not just trying to take advantage of the speculative, well, I guess in the bear market we're in, not as much, but if it was like October of last year, you're taking advantage of just opportunistically taking advantage of capturing some liquidity and then heading off to Puerto Rico or something.
Yeah, I think we're going to see a lot more companies launching the ICO post mainnet being out, or just doing the right thing, which is security token offerings with Reg D, Reg A, Reg A plus, Reg CF, Reg S, checking all the boxes and stop pretending like they're not a security.
So I think our time's up here. I think all of us will be in the back in the lobby if you guys have any questions. I love Q&A's really productive. So
yeah, I think we're right on time and hope you guys enjoy our conversation.
All right, thank you very much.
Have a nice day.
Thanks.